So close you can almost taste it.
What? You just gonna walk away? Time to bring the juice.
Never leave a fit behind. Rip it, and bring the juice.
That flavor's just out of reach.
Drop the Legos and bring the juice. Yee.
Is the anti-bloodline faction headed by LA Knight already cracking at the foundation? Danhausen not only curses but haunts the Judgment Day. Is Heartbreak what Otis really needed to find success? This is the Raw recap on WWE Now and WWE and Fanatics original production. Oh, so many questions, Megan. So many questions tonight coming off of an incredible weekend. Saturday night's main event.
Yep.
Fanatics Fest. SummerSlam kickoff. Into Monday Night Raw. Into the Raw recap. And I think that one of the big stories of the evening tonight on Monday Night Raw was what is going on. And I'd had this question. I wondered if you felt that way too, and I think we got a little bit more clarity tonight, but I still kind of wonder. Up until this week, I would say, it felt like there were almost two stories going on within the bloodline.
Yes.
Like Roman and Seth was over here, and the Usos and Jacob versus Royce Keys, LA Knight, and Solo Sikoa was over here. But only now does it feel like we're starting to get that Venn diagram.
Yes.
Where they link up.
Overlapping a little bit. And that all happened today when Solo presented Seth Rollins with an offer.
Yeah, and I think
Very enticing offer.
Well, I think Solo thought it was an offer that Seth couldn't refuse.
Yeah, he got very upset that Seth had to think about the offer.
So Solo made it clear.
This was sleazy car salesman Solo Sikoa, which is, by the way, my favorite Solo Sikoa.
You love that Solo.
I do.
Would you buy a used car from him?
Probably not.
Because it might not make it all the way home.
But I would like to watch him wheel and deal with customers.
Yeah, I feel like I would buy the car. I'd know that I don't need this car. I'd know that it's probably not going to make it all the way home, but there's just something about it where you want to say yes. Because he'd look at you like that, you know? You mean to tell me you don't want to say yes? And I'm like, oh, I do. I do, Solo. I really, really do. Because he shows up, right? And he's got that slick red suit on. And he says, you know, that I'm not even supposed to be on this show. But I'm here to talk to one person. And he calls out Seth Rollins. And Seth Rollins asks that all-important question. Before we go anyplace else, are you here to talk or are you here to fight? And Solo made it clear. I'm here to talk. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to talk. And you're like, oh, okay. Which is so ironic because in the world of professional wrestling, like usually there's at least something where it's like, well, I'm here to talk. But if you want to fight, we can fight. Not Solo.
So I ain't fighting.
I'm not here to fight.
Not fighting right now.
Come on, Seth. Who do you think I am? Come on, we're brothers, Seth. Come on. And Seth is like, this is odd. You know, this is odd. But he paints a picture, did Solo Sikoa, to Seth Rollins, that you do not have a one-on-one match at SummerSlam. You have a 1-on-4 match at SummerSlam. He says, Seth, the bloodline is not going to let you get out of SummerSlam. The bloodline is not going to let you win at SummerSlam. And you can trust me when I tell you that because these are the people that I worked with. These are the plays that I acted out. I know the game plan because I participated. I've crafted the game plan. Seth, you need somebody watching your back.
And are you sitting there as the person who's been calling out all of the haters who say Roman can't do it by himself and saying, well, what has he done ever since he became champion at WrestleMania? He's done it by himself. Solo points out that he hasn't. Are you just itching to fire back at Solo?
I would disagree with Solo.
You would? Yeah, you would.
100%. 100%.
You said that was the old bloodline.
That was the old bloodline. And because people have been saying it. People won't stop saying it. Well,
Solo's saying it.
Well, I know, but Solo, you know, he's got a red suit on. He's wearing a bright red suit.
He's been wearing the red suit for a couple weeks now.
And you got to ask, like, what's the motivation here from Solo Sikoa? What is he looking to gain? Like, Solo already, it's one thing. And maybe, look, it is just that he wants to destroy his family. And maybe he does want to go into Minnesota and hit them all in one shot. But it is a little bit odd that 1 week he's sitting here trying to convince Royce Keys and LA Knight to team with him so that they can take out Jacob Fatu and the Usos. And then before they even get a chance to get there, he's now going, okay, now that they've agreed to do that, I'm going to go over here with my leather gloves on.
And he's wheeling and dealing.
And
Solo has to have some sort of master plan here.
Unless it really is to come in and take them all out in one fell swoop. You know, that's how a lot of operations are handled. It's like we can't afford to go in and take a little bit there and a little bit there, because if we take a little bit there, they're going to figure us out. They're going to rebuild. We got to go in and take them all out from the inside. And maybe that's what Solo's thought is, that he wants to go, okay, no, I'm trying to make SummerSlam a 2-night affair where we can say goodbye to everybody. But even if that were to happen, even if they were to be successful, what does Solo look to gain from that?
Yeah, he's not going to walk out the world heavyweight champion.
Not on that night.
No.
But does he go, okay, now I can be the one to represent my family?
Yeah, and then who does he represent? I guess he just represents them solo,
I get it.
right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Solo.
like I feel like Solo is the type of person, though, that he likes leading he likes telling other people what to do.
He seemed to enjoy it.
Yes.
At the peak of New Bloodline, with
we
the
loved it.
Tongans and with Jacob.
Yes.
I think Solo's probably happiest time. I would love to ask him. Because you've got OG Solo, which is strong, silent type, ready to drop a Samoan spike in whatever neck the OTC told him to.
Wrists are taped at all times.
I mean,
He's
you-
always making fists.
Remember that episode of Monday Night Raw? Remember the...
When he finally spoke for the first time.
I was thinking about the court, right? When they brought Sami Zayn in front of the tribal court.
Yes.
And Solo was ready to spike, and it was Jay that held his arm. Like, that was OG Solo.
Yes.
Then there's New Bloodline Solo, and that's the I love you Solo era of
Yes.
Jacob.
That's my favorite.
To your point, I think that's Solo at his happiest.
Yeah, and that is when we first started to see shades of used car salesman Solo,
Yes,
who I also enjoy.
but that started to fall apart. And it slowly, the cracks started to open. The water started to seep through. And now I think that Solo is looking for that post MFT identity.
So if he takes his whole family out in one foul swoop
Right.
at SummerSlam
Right.
by helping out Seth Rollins, who then can Solo lead over? Who
Well-
then can Solo tell what to do?
It could just be a matter of survival for Solo because Roman is making sure that his family is all in the right position. You remember when Roman and Jacob were doing their thing. The reason that Roman had to keep Jacob in line is because he said, if they see my family not respecting me, then they're not going to respect me. We need to have everybody in place to do business the way we want to do business. And maybe Solo knows that as far as the bloodline goes, if you are bloodline, you are with them or you are not with them. And if you are not with them, they're going to make sure that you are not on top. They're going to make sure that you are an idea way over here somewhere. And maybe Solo goes, okay, well,
Not even associated.
not even.
You're not with them. You're not linked to them in
And-
any way, shape, or form.
And not only will they not help, they will make sure that levels of success are simply not achieved.
Correct.
And maybe Solo's sitting there thinking, well, I don't want to join this bloodline, but I want to get these levels of success. I need to figure out how to take them all out. And that has been a mission of Solo Sikoa since right after WrestleMania 40.
Yeah.
He's never really lost that desire.
Yeah. I mean, I think back to Tribal Combat, Raw Netflix debut.
January of last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then when Seth Rollins says, let me think about it, Solo's offended. Solo grabs him by the arm. Solo says, what is there to think about? I can do this for you. I can be your guy. And he brings up WrestleMania 40. He says, what you did for Cody, I can do for you.
Solo is about to be Seth's shield.
He's offering it. And Seth is sitting there looking at him. And it feels like it's similar to what LA Knight was telling us on the podcast at Fanatics Fest, which is, do I trust this guy long term?
That's what I'm saying. If Solo offers to be the shield, yes, it's an enticing offer, right? For anybody to say, hey, I will be your shield. But Solo, out of all people, I know you just said you'd buy a used car from him, but would you trust him there?
Well, listen, Cody didn't trust Seth.
It's true.
But Seth's desires were stronger than that, and Cody knew that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think it's just with Solo, you never quite know his motivations. It's okay for him to be a selfish guy. There's a lot of selfish people in the world of professional wrestling.
Tons.
But because he's, Solo's got a plan under a plan under a plan under a plan. That's the world that he comes from. So you have to figure out what that baseline plan is before you can put him in a position, because who knows, you could be putting this guy in a position to screw you over instead of, your opponent. So before we can get an answer from Solo, here comes Jacob Fatu. Jumps in the ring. Solo retreats immediately. But as Jacob is looking off on Solo.
And what I wrote this down. Cole called Jacob Roman Reigns' enforcer, which I thought was so interesting because you think back to the old bloodline and who was the enforcer at that time?
Solo Sikoa.
That's right.
1,000%. I would pick Jacob as my enforcer over Solo.
I would too.
I mean, and I say that because one guy ran to the ring, one guy ran from the ring.
Yeah, and look what Jacob has done most recently, right?
Yeah, dog walked asses. That's what he's done most recently. Dog walked asses. And also not taking orders from anyone's a punk ass. That's what Jacob has done recently.
Especially Jay's a punk ass.
That's right. That's 100% right. And by the way, it was great to hear. I was surprised to see Jacob Fatu on Raw tonight, because when Adam Pearce announced that Jacob Fatu would not only be on Raw, he'd be facing LA Knight. Jacob Fatu said, well, I'm on my way home. I'm on my way to Cali. I don't take orders from Adam Pearce. As a matter of fact, I think that this announcement is ass, is what he said on Twitter. Obviously, he came to his senses and decided to come to Monday Night Raw anyway. But I still think if you asked him straight up, hey, what'd you think of that announcement?
Ass.
Ass. He'd say it was ass. And maybe he's right. I don't know. But Jacob chases Solo Sikoa off, but then he turns around and gets a mouthful of boot from Seth Rollins, who kicks him directly in the face. Seth's very happy with himself as he walks off. Now, this is where I start to get irritated.
This is where we get the Venn diagram right here.
What's the Venn diagram?
Well, we had Roman and Seth.
Right.
And we had the Usos, and we had Solo, Royce Keys, and LA Knight. Venn diagram right here in the middle. This is when Seth kicks Jacob.
And this is where I get frustrated, because CM Punk did the same thing. CM Punk goes, oh, Roman can't do anything without the Usos. Roman can't do anything without the Usos. In fact, the Usos are his bag boys. The Usos this, the Usos that. Then the Usos come out because of what CM Punk said. And then CM Punk says, see, I told you. That's gaslighting. That's not real. That's pure and utter manipulation. So then Seth Rollins goes, oh, yeah, you're right. Roman can't do anything by himself. Roman can't do anything by himself. Jacob fights his battles. Jacob's his bag boy. I'm going to kick him in the face. And then if Jacob wants to kick Seth Rollins back in the face, he goes, I bet Roman told you to do that. No, you kicked him first. Nobody told him to do that. You kicked him. And then that's what they'll do. And then I'll go on the radio, and then they'll call me, and they'll go, see, Sam, they got involved. The bloodline got involved. I go, no. You got to take the chain of events here. Jacob's responding to a direct attack, not sitting here fighting anybody's battles.
Seth did strike first.
He struck first. And by the way, Jacob only went out there. Jacob didn't go out in that segment.
Jacob went out there because of orders from the tribal chief are to handle Solo.
Handle
and get
Solo,
Solo
and that's
to come back.
And that's when, what's Jacob doing at SummerSlam?
handling Solo.
He's involved with Solo. He's going after Solo.
And he was involved with Solo tonight until Seth kicked him in the face.
He was in the ring with Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
He didn't go after Seth Rollins.
No, he went after Solo.
Seth Rollins went after him. This is what I'm saying. If we look into what's actually going on here, you got this whole group of people that are so invested in accusing
And hating.
That's exactly right, Megan Maria. Our OTC, who all he wants to do is put a little food on our table, that they create these self-fulfilling prophecies of the bloodline getting involved. They force the bloodline to get involved, and then they go, see, I told you the bloodline always gets involved. And it's like, oh, you rat. Oh, you rat. It drives me insane.
Do you think it was wise for Seth Rollins to kick Jacob Fatu like this?
Honestly, like without my fandom getting involved, yeah, I think Seth Rollins is playing a great game of chess.
Wow.
Because, and this is because here's the thing. What makes this match brilliant, Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns, is that, yeah, I mean, the bloodline is the bloodline and that's family. But who knows Roman Reigns better than Seth Rollins?
No one.
He was there when Roman Reigns debuted. He was there when Roman Reigns was the top guy. We've been watching all those great moments of Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns' history, from the Shield to the breakup to the heist of the century to the match that they had at Money in the Bank, in whatever year that was. Like, Seth has been there for all of it. And you could see in the backstage confrontation between Seth and Jacob that Seth goes, "You're not going to hit me, are you? Because the OTC said you couldn't hit me." You think Seth, look at him smiling right at
So
Jacob's
maniacal.
face, smiling right at his face. It's maniacal. It's thought out. It's chess. He's sitting there going, I know that Roman told you not to hit me. That's why I kicked you in the face. So no, I think Seth Rollins doing anything he can to complicate matters within the bloodline is good, because he knows how factions with Roman work. And he knows that Roman, even though no emotions from a king, Roman has feelings.
Sure he does. And Seth knows how to.
And by the way, you know why Roman has feelings? Because of what Seth Rollins did 10 years ago to him, putting that chair in his back.
But Seth knows exactly how to push those buttons in a way that nobody else can comprehend.
Seth built the button, dude. Seth
he
built
did.
the button.
Yes, he did.
Here's the thing. You want to go full psychology on this? You want to go why Roman?
Let's go deep.
Well, yeah, then let's do it. The reason Roman has this level of paranoia to him, the reason that Roman is paying attention to what everybody does, the reason I believe that Roman Reigns, the character, I understand, has this desire to control everything around him and make sure that everybody is following everything to a T, is because when it was 3 equals, the first chance that the architect got, he betrayed Roman Reigns. And by the way, 10 years later, the same thing happened to Roman Reigns again by a guy that would go on to hold the title for 9 days, Sami Zayn. Just like Seth Rollins. He hit Roman from behind. This is something that happens to Roman. He sets it all up on a table for everybody, and then they just want a little more. So yeah, Seth Rollins knows how to push the buttons because he's the engineer. He's the architect. He built the machine that the buttons are on. And so he knows what he's doing. He knows that he's complicating matters. He knows that Roman just wants Jacob to be loyal. That's a strength. You could see it. Remember when Jacob beat up Eric Andre from the Eric Andre show?
Of course.
Eric Andre laying there on the ground.
When Roman told him to stop, Roman told Jacob, no more. Please do not beat up Eric Andre anymore. And then as Jacob is standing there, Roman turns around and says, you know what? On second thought, go ahead.
Turn the switch off, turn the switch on.
And Roman saw just how much power not only he has, but how dangerous the bloodline is with Jacob Fatu.
Everything changed after that moment. That's the same night that Roman hugged Jacob and said, I understand you, Jacob.
I love you.
Yeah, you don't understand I love you, he said. And Seth wants to play with that. And I get it. I get where Seth is coming from. I want to talk a lot more about this, but before we get back into Raw, we have to talk about the main event that's happening in your own home, okay? Look, life is basically SummerSlam every single day. It's a high-stakes gauntlet where the responsibilities, they just keep coming and coming. It feels like you're constantly making trade-offs between things you have to do and the things you actually love. That's why we're celebrating those moments where you refuse to tap out. It's time for the Minute Maid Juice Break, where we highlight those everyday wins that deserve a massive pop. I'm talking about the everyday stuff. I'm talking about the stuff we all go through, the typical stuff. For instance, we were at Fanatics Fest.
Yeah, it was a
right?
great time.
Over the weekend. It was fantastic. And I'm looking at my step counter. You know, I'm looking at my little stepwatch. And I'm looking at it, that's right. And I go, well, I'm about 3,000 steps short of my goal. I go, that's not good. I got to get my step goal in, right?
Have to.
But then they had these golf carts that would take you around. And you feel like such a big shot on the golf
Do.
carts. And
Especially when you're riding on the back.
that's where I ride.
I was going to say wind in the hair, but you can't.
Okay. Well, that was unnecessary. I still feel the wind, and it's still a nice thing to feel. You know what I mean? And I can feel it on my whole head, which a lot of people don't get to. But regardless, I say, and you feel like a VIP too.
You do.
And I said, I want to get on that golf cart. I just ride the golf cart down. They'll go lickety split, and they go faster than you'd think because it's not a golf course. It's concrete. But I said, no, I'm not going to tap out here. I'm not going to go lazy. I'm going to hoof it. And I walked it. And did I get the 3,000 steps? No, but I got an extra 700. And that's closer than I was. So that I was pretty proud of over the weekend.
And you looked like a big shot doing that on the back of that golf cart.
Yeah. But that's why I said no golf cart. I'll walk. So that was my little victory.
Wow. Yeah. I'm happy for you. That was good. Actually, on my way in to Fanatics Fest this past weekend, it was a weird weekend weather-wise in New York.
Orange air and everything.
Yeah, the air quality. So kind of a dangerous time for a lot of people to be outside. And I'm making my way to Fanatics Fest, and I notice there's this school bus on the side of the road. Yeah, filled with kids. I was told that they were actually at-risk teens. It was a summer camp, and they were headed to an outing, some sort of field trip. And the bus...
Summer camp field trip?
Yeah, and the bus actually had broken down on the side of the road. And I know this is going to shock a lot of people. Megan Morant walking down the side of the street, or as LA Knight called me, Leggy Meggy, walking down the side of the street. But I, in fact... can change a tire. A lot of people don't think that I can do that, but I sure can. So I see this bus. I'm worried about the children, the at-risk teens with the air quality. So I said, no worries. I'll get this tire changed lickety split. And I changed the tire for the school bus filled with at-risk teens. And they went on their way, and they got on with their day to their field trip slightly late for Fanatics Fest, about 5 minutes, but it was just
Fanatics Fest?
It was just they were not going to Fanatics. I was going to Fanatics.
Oh, you were
Fest.
late.
I
You
was
were
slightly
helping
late.
a bus full of children.
That's correct. So it was a small trade-off for a big win.
I didn't even think this one's true.
It's true. Yeah, you can ask.
What street was
I
it?
was a little late, Charlie. Yeah, I texted him. I said I'm going to be a little late.
What street was it?
It was a West Side Highway.
The bus was on the West Side Highway.
Mm-hmm.
You were walking down the West Side Highway.
That's where we entered Fanatics Fest.
I said
You didn't think I could change a tire?
No, I said I didn't ride a golf cart, and you concocted this whole thing about a kid bus. That's not an everyday thing.
It is for me.
Minute Maid and WWE are tag teaming your daily grind, bringing main event energy to life's everyday matches. Together, we're turning the toughest rounds into moments worth cheering for. I don't think it's a bus.
From the ring to real life, Minute Maid
Real life.
and WWE are here to help you bring the juice when the day tries to tap you out.
Never tap out on
Tap
taste.
out on taste.
Bring the juice.
the juice.
Bring the juice.
You seem very upset.
No, I'm not upset.
Okay.
You could just say a small thing. Say a small thing that happened. That's what it says.
I mean,
Say
as
a
far as
thing.
my weekend goes, it was pretty small. I got to see a live performance by Justin Bieber. So
I know what you
it
did.
was just a small little thing.
I had my own great moments this weekend.
Yeah, you did. Big ones.
Huge ones, okay? I'm not sitting there trying to squeeze them into a commercial and making them up.
You want to talk about them here on the show?
I got to see my OTC.
Oh.
I got to catch up with my OTC.
Yeah,
right?
you did?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people.
How'd that go?
It was amazing. Are you kidding me?
You didn't get the hug.
No. Well, this year was a little different. You know, last year I got the hug from John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
This year, John Cena's entrance was much more slow. It wasn't really the type of. It was a 5-minute long entrance.
It took a really long time.
It didn't feel like a hug thing to do, but I did. I instead, I got my own moments, and you know, we were backstage. We were getting ready to go out onto the stage and do our superstar entrances and judge the superstar entrances for the day. And look at that. People think that I'm full of it. People think I'm full of baloney. But look how excited we are to see each other. Look, you got to understand something, okay? I love this bloodline and this bloodline loves me. And I think that there is enough evidence that I can say that confidently.
You know, after watching this interaction unfold, not just here on video, but in IRL, in real
You
life.
got to see it.
I did. I got to see it. I see our OTC Roman Reigns roll up, getting ready for his entrance. And I watch you, my co-host, Sam Roberts, confidently walk in the direction of Roman Reigns, stick your hand out, go in for the handshake. And I'm like, wow, Megan, you got to be a little bit more like Sam. Why don't you walk up there confidently and shake Roman Reigns' hand as well? So I take 2 confident steps, authoritative steps,
Yeah.
in the right direction.
With those legs?
Yes,
Wow.
towards Roman Reigns. And just as I'm like, I'm going to reach for the hand, somebody slightly moves in front of me.
Oh, no.
And so now I get nervous.
And this was after Roman and I had
It's just-
already
you
had
guys
our
had
whole
already had your whole
conversation and
bromance.
catch up. And,
Yeah, I watched you and I said, come on, Megan, let's go. So I
Right.
take my 2 authoritative steps, go to stick the hand out. Somebody accidentally cuts in front of me, doesn't realize I'm there. I immediately go from, you got to be like Sam to, no, let's retreat.
Nah.
we're gonna retreat and we're actually gonna pretend like none of this ever happened. The only problem was
Yeah?
Roman saw me make those 2 authoritative steps.
Oh, no.
And also saw me retreat.
No.
So really awkward. And then he came up and was like, Megan, it's good to see you. And I was like, you saw that whole thing, didn't you? And he's like, I did.
Oh, he told you he did.
Yeah, I
the OTC
did.
had seen it.
It was so awkward. So yeah.
Still, it was great to see him.
Yeah, I just got to work up that confidence. I got to be more like you, really go in. You saw him on a mission. You had the blinders up and you just went right for it.
Well, I mean, yes, but it's not. I've people don't believe me, but I've spoken to the man before. I mean, we have a familiarity that would allow me to, confidently be able to say, I think he'd be pleased if I said hello.
Take more than 2 confident steps.
Yeah, we can catch up for a few minutes.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I'm not there yet.
Right. Has that ever happened to you before?
With Roman?
No, but remember when we saw Pete Davidson at Raw?
Well, I. You have to
remember that?
Of course I remember
It's
that.
just a related story where you-
and Pete have a relationship. You know each other from the past. So Pete goes in to give the handshake. You introduce me.
It was a full-on hug.
Yeah,
It
full
was
on.
like, oh,
it
it's
was
been
a
so
dap-up,
long.
A dap up.
Right.
And you said, this is Megan. He said, hey, Megan. And then I was a little slow on reaching the hand out.
Yeah.
Because it's Pete Davidson. I've never met him before, right?
Yeah.
I was like, what do I do here? I guess I should put my hand out.
Mm-hmm.
And I took too long to put the hand out. And Pete didn't see the hand and walked away. And I was like, well, at least nobody saw that.
Yeah.
And I look over in the crowd, and the head of our department, Lee Fitting, saw the whole
The guy
thing.
from the credits.
Yes,
Yeah,
he saw the whole thing. And he's dying laughing as
He
I'm
was. It was-
sitting there with my hand open as Pete Davidson just walks past me. So not a great track record, but I'll get there.
I mean, I think it's part of your charm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think people like it. It's human. We've all, these are the moments you should be talking about on the juice things, not these.
Oh, saving a bus.
Hey, bring the juice. Learn how to say hello to people.
You know what?
Like a human.
Like through all of it, I'm like, Roman knows my name because then he came up
Of
and said,
course he
hey,
knows your
Megan.
name.
So
Yeah.
there we go. We're good. I'm
Okay.
gonna take the positive.
No, it's a win. It's a win is a win is a win. And it was the bloodline that got the win tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob Fatu, the whole thing broke down by the end of this match, you had LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. First, you had Jimmy show up. Then you had Solo Sikoa show up. Jimmy distracts the referee. Royce Keys shows up. Jay shows up. And at the end of the thing, you know, there's been a lot of questions about whether or not specifically those three members of the bloodline get along. The Usos, Jay specifically, because of the references to the punk ass, and Jacob Fatu. But at the end of tonight's show, and I think that this is a key thing for people to realize going into SummerSlam, at the end of tonight's show, it was Jimmy, Jay, and Jacob standing together, bodies all around them, with the ones up in the air. I mean, at this point, it's like, listen, people want to take this bloodline for granted. People want to say like, oh, you know, like either they don't get along or they need interference or they need this or they're washed or whatever it is. But this is the fact of the matter. You have Jacob Fatu, who's a once-in-a-lifetime performer. You have the Usos, who might be the greatest tag team that's ever existed. And by the way, I don't know where Jay Uso has been for the past couple weeks, but I tell you one thing, it has a gym in it. Because he came back in phenomenal shape.
Shredded.
And seeing them all stand together over this pile of bodies reminds you that I don't care, man. LA Knight is one of the best. Royce Keys is somebody I put my money on for the next several years in the WWE. And we were just talking about how great Solo Sikoa is. But they're not family. They're not the bloodline. They're not all together. And when that bloodline is all together working for a common goal, they're completely unstoppable.
Yeah, and I think it really showed us tonight, that image, that despite whatever's going on, despite whatever order, the pecking order of the bloodline, who's playing what role, who's taking orders from whose punk ass, when it comes down to family business, they can execute and destroy anyone in their path.
I saw no cracks in that foundation. Meanwhile, right before the match, LA Knight cuts a promo relating right back to what Solo Sikoa did at the top of the second hour talking to Seth Rollins. And LA Knight made it clear that he was incredibly unhappy that Solo Sikoa had gone and tried to cut this deal with Seth Rollins. That Solo, which is interesting because LA Knight has made it clear that he does not like Roman Reigns. LA Knight has made it clear that his plan is to go into SummerSlam, take care of the Usos and Jacob, and then go after the Tribal Chief. We interviewed LA Knight at Fanatics Fest. If you missed it, it's on the YouTube channel. Check it out. It was a great hour-long interview, live right there. It was awesome. But even in there, he talked about how much he wants to get his hands on Roman Reigns. But he doesn't like that Solo Sikoa has some other plan in his head, even though Solo Sikoa's outward goal is the same as his, which is to end Roman Reigns.
Yeah, and it seems like LA has some reservations about whether he can fully trust Solo. And if it's for one night and this is something LA needs to do and he has no other choice, that's the choice he has to make.
Yeah, but I think that did boil down to the idea that, yeah, I can trust him for one night, except I didn't think he would have other plans in the same night.
Yeah.
I didn't think that he wanted to be involved on all levels of what's going on and what's he doing over there. Because LA Knight doesn't love Seth Rollins. LA Knight went out a couple weeks ago and told Seth Rollins how boring he was. Talking about Seth Rollins and brother and getting beards cut together and all this stuff. LA Knight is not a guy with any friends.
No.
LA Knight is a guy who is sick of anybody who's been in that world title scene instead of him. So the idea that this guy, that LA Knight has finally found a way to go, okay, I can trust him for this match, is now going over here and doing something with Seth Rollins. LA Knight's very unhappy with that. Nah is what he says.
Nah.
But he can say that all he wants. Solo Sikoa's got his own game, and that's what I mean, right? When you have that dynamic, it's hard for me to believe that you can realistically fight a family that's got one goal, that's got one play that they're running. Who's calling the plays for LA Knight, Royce Keys, and Solo Sikoa?
Who knows? Who knows?
Everybody's running separate plays. There's 3 captains on that team.
And you think about it, they all have their own interests in mind as well. Royce Keys, he debuts in WWE at the Royal Rumble. A lot of people, yourself included, have very high hopes for Royce Keys.
Love him.
And are very excited to see what Royce Keys does. And I'm sure Royce Keys feels the same way.
And Royce Keys knows he's in a stadium.
Yes.
And Royce Keys knows it's SummerSlam.
Yes.
And Royce Keys knows it's the bloodline.
Yes.
Eyeballs, eyeballs, eyeballs. As far as I believe Royce Keys is concerned, he should be thinking, this is the Royce Keys show.
Yes. But Solo Sikoa, he's thinking about helping Seth Rollins that night. He's thinking about perhaps taking his whole family out in one swoop.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And then, of course, there's LA Knight. And we know LA Knight, like you said, he doesn't have any friends.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Like, ultimately, Jacob Fatu, Jimmy Uso, and Jey Uso all want Roman Reigns to be the champion.
Despite how they feel about each other.
They all have one goal.
Yes.
Do you think Royce Keys wants LA Knight to be the champion?
No.
Do you think Solo Sikoa wants LA Knight to be the champion?
No.
Do you think Royce Keys wants Solo to be the champion?
No.
You see what I'm saying here?
Yes.
This is the difference. And it's going to be interesting to see how that all pans out. Actually, speaking of Jacob Fatu, you know, I got my new shirt here. Okay? Because whether you've been cheering since the Attitude Era,
Which you have been.
I have been, even before that, or you're counting down to the next PLE, you're all in one. You're all in on today's biggest superstars. ProSphere has the gear to help you represent the WWE universe in style, from legendary icons and current fan favorites to the next generation of WWE superstars. ProSphere offers an ever-growing collection of officially licensed apparel inspired by the biggest names and moments in WWE. Here's my Fatu jersey. I don't even like football like that, but I like this football jersey. Jacob Fatu, 42. And here's what I love too. Here's what I love, that it looks like the jersey that Jacob wears. He looks so cool in it. And I go, I wish I could look as cool as Jacob Fatu. And ProSphere says, say less. And they come to me with this jersey. And now I can pull it off just like you can pull it off. You could stand out from the crowd. You could suit up with ProSphere's lineup of premium jersey-inspired styles, graphic tees. I mean, sports jersey, not new jersey. Hoodies, and more. With options for adults and youth, every member of the family can find the perfect look to show off their WWE fandom. What you got there? That's 4 letters.
One word. Yeet. That's right. I have a soccer inspired. Football, as they call it.
Yes.
The World Cup may be over, but it's still going on for all of us who are wearing our football inspired
Yeet jersey.
Yeet jersey.
That's your
from
Yeet kit.
ProSphere. Yeet kit.
Yeet kit.
They have it all there. So while the World Cup's over, keep your own football alive.
Either your Yeet spirit. ProSphere on Fanatics is gear built for every member of the WWE universe. We love ProSphere. Recommend it for everybody. That's my Danhausen ProSphere t-shirt behind me. And I don't know, man, because I got my Dominic over here, right?
I know this is so tough for you.
I got my Dominic. This is my tank top. I told you I like to show the guns off in the summer. This is my Dominic ProSphere tank top, right? So I got my Danhausen ProSphere back there, my Dominic ProSphere over here. We find out on Raw tonight.
You're in a little bit of a pickle here.
My favorites are fighting.
I am surprised that you didn't just race home to pull out the siren, because this is a Sam Roberts match made in heaven, or this might be your worst nightmare.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how to feel.
React?
I'm going to cheer a lot. I feel like I'm going to like everything that happens as long as I'm only thinking about the offense part. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to be so happy that Dominic Mysterio is winning and so happy that Danhausen is winning. I just can't think of who they're winning against, because we find out it's Dominic Mysterio versus Danhausen at SummerSlam. And like, listen, I love SummerSlam. You know, I think my first ever favorite match as a kid was Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect from SummerSlam 91. I loved that match. And then we go a year later, my first ever live WWE event, the first ever event I got a ticket for, that I got to sit in the audience and watch live, was Wembley Stadium, SummerSlam 92. Bret Hart versus the British Bulldog. You go to SummerSlam, what was it, 95, I want to say. Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon ladder match. You go, I mean, there's so many great SummerSlam matches. You go to 02, Triple H and Shawn Michaels in that street fight. You could go as far as you want. Danhausen versus Dominic Mysterio might be the greatest SummerSlam match of
Wow.
On paper, I'm saying Danhausen versus Dominic Mysterio might be the greatest SummerSlam match of all time.
I mean, you just threw out some iconic matches, and
I know.
you're already putting this one up there with it
Because there's big
before
matches.
we've even seen the match.
This is a marquee match. This is a stadium match. This is a match that you put up there. I'm assuming that big old stadium in Minnesota is going to have a picture of Danhausen on one side of it and Dominic Mysterio on the other side of it. This is the match that, as they say, moves the people. You know what I mean? This is the one you're tuning in for. You go, what's going on in SummerSlam? Is that the show where they're doing Dominic versus Danhausen? Yes, it is, as a matter of fact.
Minnesotans are so nice.
This match is going to be anything but Minnesota nice. I'll tell you that right now. Anything but.
They're gonna hate Dominic.
They may hate Dominic.
Hate.
And Dominic's going to have to watch out for that Triple D.
Yes, because that was crazy today.
The Danhausen death drop.
Yes, Danhausen death drop. I hadn't
Right.
seen that before.
No, I have not either. So, I mean, look, this was another one that was all over the show, right? We start the show, early on in the show, we have Danhausen getting confronted by Liv Morgan, JD McDonough, and Dominic Mysterio.
I can't believe they're speaking to him in the tone that they are after everything that happened at Saturday night's main event.
Well, they're real mad that Carl Anthony Towns put Dominic Mysterio through a table.
Yeah, and then Liv Morgan got cursed again on the kickoff.
She keeps getting cursed.
Continues to get cursed. Shows up 24 hours later, and they're gonna take this mentality, they're gonna
Bullying.
use this approach
They tried to
get
bully
the
him.
money back.
You see her? She was
Like
rubbing
they haven't learned anything. Like maybe after you got cursed for the third time,
Right.
we try a different, nicer approach.
Well, I mean, here's the only.
I mean, she tried to flirt with him first. That didn't
That
work.
did
And
not work.
ever since then, they've just been awful to Danhausen.
Well, I mean, the problem with Danhausen is that
Maybe just be nice.
no, that doesn't work either.
How do they
I
know?
mean,
They've
look,
never done it. The Judgment Day does not know how to do that.
they have not tried it. To your point,
Mm-hmm.
and Danhausen is very evil, but very nice.
Yeah, he is.
But in my experience, I've known Danhausen for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
There's one way to get what you want from Danhausen.
Human money.
That's it. That's it. Remember, I mean, he was sitting there and he threatened to curse me once. And he said, give me money or I'm going to curse you. And I said, well, I don't have any money. Do you do Apple Pay? And he said, no, I don't do Apple Pay, but give me your phone. He wanted me to just give him the phone. So I guess he could sell the phone then. There's it's a high monetary value. I said, I can't give you my phone. He cursed me. And
Life's
then guess
never
what?
been the same.
No, it hasn't. They just canceled my flight to San Diego tomorrow. It's ridiculous. And I know why.
Because you've been cursed.
But I need the phone. I couldn't just give him the phone.
Yeah.
And so I think it gets complicated because they're like, our whole goal here is to get our money back. We can't give Danhausen money to get our money back. It defeats the purpose. Just more money down the toilet, So they're between a real rock and a hard place right now. And I think they're coming from an emotional place. They're frustrated that Kat chokeslammed JD McDonough and Dominic Mysterio in Madison Square Garden. I mean, how would you feel if like the first time that Carl Anthony Towns stepped back into Madison Square Garden after becoming an NBA champion, he chokeslams you? You wouldn't be thrilled,
No,
It's
it's tough.
not even his sport.
But maybe he should
Called it
have
the choke slam dunk.
He should have thought twice before he ripped Danhausen's Nick jersey, which should be somewhere in a museum, probably
I would think so. And
framed in a museum,
they did throw that little mini Danhausen into a set of steel stairs.
which was so unnecessary. They
tough.
could have handled that
A little
a
different.
little more gentle.
So Danhausen then, he goes, okay, I'll get you your money. And he brings it to the ring.
In a briefcase.
And yeah, a little satchel, I'll call it, a satchel. And he offers it to Detroit. He said, I'm going to give you all the money.
Which is very Justin Bieber-esque of him.
Why is that? Because he gave the money to the Fanatics
Yeah,
people?
because
I
Justin
see.
Bieber won the Fanatics games, $1 million.
Do you guys in the control room understand that ever since Megan sat there at the Superstar entrance while Justin Bieber was performing, she just shoehorns him into every conversation. It's infuriating.
It's part of my new personality now. It's a personality trait.
I like earlier today. I was like, "Who's your favorite member of the NWO from back in the day?" She was like, "I guess Justin Bieber." I go, "That's
Probably.
not all right.
Yeah,
never
he
mind.
was.
Never mind. That's not. You know, is he for life? I don't know.
Every conversation I've had with anybody, I just try to work in the fact that over the weekend, Justin Bieber shook my hand.
Okay, that's cool. That's a cool trait. That's a really awesome trait that you have.
Part of my personality now.
You're that girl.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Let me have a week of it, okay?
that's a week.
It's a big deal.
It is a big deal. But Judgment Day came out. They said, no way, that's not happening. You can't give our money out. And Joe Hendry, and they attack Danhausen, and Joe Hendry makes the save. Which the friendship between Danhausen and Joe Hendry feels like one of those friendships that I didn't know I needed.
I love when they do the head turn.
Yes, together.
Danhausen's face.
It's
When
like-
he does it, it's perfect.
It's perfect. It's perfect. So then JD McDonough throws the money bag when they get backstage because he realizes there's fake money inside the money bag. So he throws the money bag. It hits Obafemi somehow. Don't have arguments in front of Obafemi's dressing room, you know? And then we go, okay, Adam Pearce gets fed up. He makes 2 matches. He makes Obafemi versus JD McDonough. And then he makes Dominic Mysterio versus Joe Hendry. And Obafemi says, this is a fabulous idea. So Obafemi, I mean, just goes to the ring and then completely annihilates.
It's probably less than 3 minutes, I think.
It was
total.
quick. It was quick.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you know, and JD McDonough was in bad shape. He just lost to Danhausen 2 days ago at Madison Square Garden in no holds barred match.
And you have about 10 minutes to prepare for Obafemi.
If that.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, you could have 10 years to prepare for Obafemi. It's not going to make
wouldn't
any
be enough.
difference.
No,
He's
would
the
not be
ruler.
enough.
You know? Plus, not only is he the ruler, he's a ruler that is focused up on fighting Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. It's not going to do anybody any good.
I mean, he's what did Paul Heyman call him? A stage 9 clinger?
Yeah, that's what Paul Heyman called him. That's not from me. That's what Paul Heyman called him.
Stalker.
Paul Heyman said that, not me.
No, not me either.
Good, Paul Heyman. Then we get Joe Hendry versus Dominic Mysterio. Danhausen comes to the ring. Liv Morgan punches him in the face. Then Danhausen leaves because he doesn't want to get punched in the face. But he comes back in his Danhausen mobile, and Io Sky is riding shotgun.
Which this is another duo I didn't know that I needed. I didn't know that I needed Danhausen and Io Sky.
Hitting you with the point head,
Yes.
the head point.
And I needed it.
Look at Danhausen is making fast friends in WWE, isn't he?
Who wouldn't want to be friends with him?
And I don't know
All
if
the
it's
Miz.
that's well now he does. And Miz is zombified. Miz and Kit Wilson. I mean, they need Danhausen now to survive.
Yes.
You know? No, I think. Well, yeah, I think a couple of things. I think that people have realized that Danhausen is a lot of fun, and that Danhausen is excellent at attaining human monies. And those are qualities that professional wrestlers really like.
Yeah, but it seems like the relationship really needs to be one-sided, right?
I think it's on Danhausen's terms. If that's what
Yes.
yeah. And he doesn't strike me as the guy that's going to pay for the rental car.
Definitely not.
I think he's going to leave somebody else with the
And
bill.
he's like Danilo going to the bathroom when the check's
When the
coming.
check comes, yeah, he pulls the old referee Danilo. That's 100% right. Yes, he does. He just doesn't put butter in his coffee. But we get to Joe Hendry versus Dominic Mysterio. And like I said, Io Sky is out. Io Sky then comes to the ring. She takes care of Liv Morgan, does Io Sky. And there's all kinds of chicanery going on. But eventually the referee is distracted. Danhausen drops Dominic with the Danhausen death drop. And Joe Hendry just slides in for the pin. 1, 2, 3. Joe Hendry beats Dominic Mysterio. Didn't love that. But you know, Danhausen, I think, had a lot to do with it. And then we get the announcement that it is Dominic Mysterio versus Danhausen at the SummerSlam.
You have to pick one right now.
Oh, my God.
Where do your allegiances lie? You have to pick one.
Dominic did a great superstar entrance with Marcelo from SNL, too.
He did.
He did. And when I gave him a 10, he pointed at me. That was awesome.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah. It's bigger than the Justin Bieber thing for me. But Danhausen is so evil, yet
He's a
so
wrestling-
nice at the
He's
same
a wrestling
time.
fairy tale. Come on.
He's got that jar of teeth, too. Oh, I wonder if he'll bring the jar of teeth to SummerSlam. We haven't really seen it in action yet. That would be a great time to see the jar of teeth in action. He lives right next door to the Munsters. I don't know if you knew that, just based on street address.
Rolls up with the PT Cruiser.
You think he'll roll the PT Cruiser into Minnesota?
Be pretty awesome.
Oh, he's sick, dude. And he's got money like that. He's got PT Cruiser. That's awesome. In 2026, that
Selling
rules.
a lot of shirts.
Yeah, I know he is selling a lot. I can't make the call right now.
Okay.
I can't. I really can't. I got to
Good
see.
thing Solo Sikoa's not here. He would be very offended that you have to think about this.
What you got to think about? What you got to think about? No. I got to think. This was sprung upon me. I didn't see it coming. This is one of the biggest marquee matches the WWE has ever done. I go, in terms of Mount Rushmore marquee matches, I go Hogan Andre, Austin Rock, honestly, Roman Cody, Danhausen Dominic. I think that's kind of your
Elite company.
Yeah, that is your absolute Mount Rushmore of marquee matches of all time.
Well, think about it. Sleep on it. And on our SummerSlam preview show, you will break the news to all of us.
Where I'm going, that's a great. That's exactly when we're here. Not even next week on the SummerSlam preview WWE Now pod. That's when I'll do it. I'll give you an update next week, but I won't tell you who until we get to that preview pod.
Decision day.
It's going to be a big decision day. I've got to tell you, speaking of decisions, I think there's only one decision to make right here. So Saturday night's main event at Madison Square Garden was full of exciting surprises, including Fatal Influence, capturing the Women's Tag Team Championship, which, by the way, we had them on the pod. They were great. Karl Anthony Towns providing the assist for Danhausen against the Judgment Day, which, by the way, we had him on the pod, and they were awesome. And Jalen Brunson uniting with Roman Reigns for a championship celebration. Well, Topps now has commemorated these unforgettable moments in exclusive trading cards that are available for just 72 hours. Look at that Roman Reigns Jalen Brunson card. Collectors who purchase the base version of these cards have a chance at receiving serial numbered parallels and even ultra rare one-of-one single and dual autographs. One person who orders the Jalen Brunson Roman Reigns card will get this one-of-one dual signature Roman Reigns and Jalen Brunson, King of New York and OTC signed Topps card. There's one of them. This is what a moment to capture and to get that dual signature on. Make sure to head to Topps.com to secure your piece of WWE history. And by the way, you know, I thought that I really want to talk about what Paul Heyman had to say. Because Paul Heyman had a lot to say as it comes to Obafemi and, of course, Brock Lesnar, because we know the Beast is back. You can rep Brock Lesnar now with the latest tee that is available on WWE Shop and Fanatics. Brock Lesnar's new t-shirt dedicated to his rationale behind hitting people. Also, champions recognize champions. Greatness acknowledges greatness. The Jalen Brunson Roman Reigns OTC 11T brings together two of the biggest name in sports. Oh, we got to get. We both need them. Grab yours now at WWE Shop and Fanatics. I might have to get them for the whole family, to tell you the truth. Everybody in the Roberts house is going to be wearing those. I would recommend the same for the Morant household.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Jalen Brunson meets the OTC.
Unbelievable.
What a moment, too, at MSG.
So Paul Heyman tonight sat down and talked about the significance of Hell in a Cell. Talked about what the expectations are for Hell in a Cell. Used that word violent, although he said he was asked not to use the word violent, but to describe it as anything else would be false advertising. And he talked about Obafemi and how impressive Obafemi really is.
And then proceeded to call him overrated.
Maybe he did say overrated. But something fascinating that he pointed out, which is something we've talked about this on the podcast, I think as far back as WrestleMania. He said that Obafemi has had the best rookie year since Brock Lesnar. And I think leading up to WrestleMania, you and I had a lot of conversations about the similarities between between 02 Brock Lesnar and 26 Obafemi.
Which, by the way, when Brock was a rookie, didn't he also win King of the Ring?
Absolutely won King of the Ring. Yes, he did. There's a lot of similarities to make. But what I think fascinates me right now is that depending on how this Hell in a Cell match goes, that Brock Lesnar has the opportunity to end the best rookie year since Brock Lesnar. When Paul Heyman put it like that, there was almost this other motive where you wonder, as Brock Lesnar, much like Seth Rollins described himself and Roman Reigns, I would say it's pretty clear that Brock Lesnar has a lot more behind him than he does in front of him. It felt like Brock Lesnar had retired at WrestleMania. When people are at that point in their careers, sometimes they decide, you know what? They do what John Cena did, for example. Create a whole show wrapped around the next generation and try to do as much for them on your way out as you possibly can. And other people decide that they want to protect their own legacy. They want to make sure that their legacy stays intact. Some people, not to say it's Brock Lesnar, but there are those that have a hard time letting go because they're so attached to maintaining that legacy. Do you think, and I think I know what you think, but do you think that there's a part of Brock Lesnar that goes, I don't want anybody to have a rookie year that's even on par, let alone better than my rookie year?
This is Brock Lesnar we're talking about?
I don't want. I know what 02 was for me. I don't want anybody else to have that year. Do you think that that's a thought that Brock Lesnar has had?
1,000%.
I knew you would.
1,000%.
Mm-hmm.
And quite frankly,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Brock sees Oba's rookie year on the same level as his. I think he recognizes what Oba's done,
Mm-hmm.
but I think to Brock Lesnar, he said, all right, kid, let's see you do it again.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, right? Because Brock Lesnar in his rookie year not only won the King of the Ring, he also beat The Rock and won the WWE Championship. I would argue, and he did it at SummerSlam, at his first SummerSlam.
I think Brock looks at Oba right now and goes, kid, you've been impressive, but you have a long way to go to do what I did in my rookie year.
Which it's like, by definition, it's your rookie year.
Yes.
You don't have, like, if you've got a long way to go, that means you're not me. Except if Obafemi beats Brock Lesnar in a Hell in a Cell at SummerSlam.
In
that
Minnesota.
Means in Minnesota. That means he beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, and then he beat Brock Lesnar in Brock's own match in Brock's hometown. If Obafemi can do that, then I think you're sitting there going, yeah, Obafemi might be having the best rookie year that we have ever seen. And I think that that may be a tough pill for Brock Lesnar to swallow. It's one thing to go like, okay, my legacy can't be touched. It's another thing to sit there and go and watch, somebody else do the things that you did and do them on the highest possible levels at a time when the entire world is watching WWE, at a time when the NBA champions have one stop to make right after winning the championship and it's Saturday night's main event. You've got Obafemi out here talking about beating Brock Lesnar in a stadium in his town in a Hell in a Cell. I mean, I think Brock Lesnar's got added incentive, and I think that Paul Heyman mentioning that lends itself to the added incentive that Brock Lesnar has.
At the same time, if Obafemi can't get past Brock Lesnar inside Hell in a Cell, given everything, you have to factor in the fact that he gave up a world championship opportunity in WWE, which those don't come around all that often.
You can't take them for granted.
I know we just saw a championship opportunity fall from the sky, but you're right, Sam. You can't take them for granted. So if he falls to Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam after passing up on a world championship opportunity, where does Obafemi's rookie career, or forget about a rookie career, does a championship opportunity ever come up for him again?
Well, also, here's the thing, too. When you look at athletes, there are how many stories of athletes that were untouchable, and then something happens after their first loss, after their first big, something happens in their brain where it's not even about the fact that everybody knows that they're beatable. It's about the fact that they know they're beatable. Something happens in here in their heart, and they're never the same performer. I mean, this is a tale as old as time in sport. Is Obafemi, forget about the whole world knowing, forget about how difficult it is going to be to get a championship match, because you're right, it will be. If Obafemi lost to Brock Lesnar, is he the same guy?
No.
And this is early for that reality to come crashing down for Obafemi.
The stakes could not be bigger.
And I truly believe that Brock Lesnar would love to be the one to completely ruin his rookie year.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
You know?
Brock would love
And to
say,
be
I
able
told you so.
and to be able to still say, nobody will ever have a rookie year as good as mine, because there will never be anybody as good as me, because I'm Brock Lesnar. John Cena called him a once in a genre performer. Not generation, not lifetime, once in a genre. As long as the genre of professional wrestling exists, there will never be another Brock Lesnar. And I think Brock Lesnar takes that seriously. And I think he wants to maintain it. Couple questions.
All right.
I know that you are a hater and that you loved the idea of, well, competitive people could never be friends and they could never respect one another. They just really just want to like tear each other limb from limb.
Sure. I like conflict in my professional wrestling, but go on.
Right. However, there was a stark difference. I say I'm with you when it comes to Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. Mm-hmm. Not for a second did I buy that those two were actually friends at Saturday Night's Main Event.
They're not friends.
Penta and Chad Gable worked incredibly well together tonight.
They sure did.
And when they won together, they won after that Mexican Destroyer into that ankle lock that had Rusev tapping out. And they knew that they had helped each other win, and they celebrated together. They're facing off for the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam. This goes back to Penta's debut match in the WWE against Chad Gable. This goes back to Chad Gable going so nuts that he had to find another identity called Grande Americano and tried to destroy Lucha Libre from the inside. Okay, that's how crazy this all made Chad Gable. And he's finally out the other end. And now he's looking straight down at Penta, and he's made it very clear to us. Remember when he sat in this room and he looked at that championship on the wall and he said, I'm here to win all the championships. He wants the gold. He's not here to be, an attraction. He's here to be a champion. Chad Gable is wrestling Penta for Penta's Intercontinental Championship. Do you think that relationship is legit?
It did feel legit tonight, but when gold gets in the middle, I mean, Chad Gable's been fighting so hard to win his first singles title in WWE.
You don't believe it, do you?
I can't.
Okay, you're a hater.
can't.
I knew it. I knew it. This is why.
After everything
Yeah.
that Chad Gable has been through just to have this opportunity.
Yeah. This is why people say like this. Megan is great to be around. Just don't get too close. That's what they say. That's what they say.
They don't say that.
Alex said that earlier today.
He did not
Yes,
say
he did.
that.
He did. He's
You're
nodding his
lying.
head right
You're
now. A lot of people say it. Here's the other thing. Okay.
You're making things up.
You'll like this a lot better.
Okay.
Here's the conflict. Do you think, I would say that tonight was the best I've seen Otis and Tozawa in forever. I mean,
Right.
even though the vision
Seriously.
stood over them, the vision was able to completely conquer them. Do you think that Otis is at his best when his heart is broken?
I mean, if tonight's any indication, yeah.
Last time I
Yeah.
think Otis was at his peak was when his heart was broken before.
Can you finally tell me that I was right and Maxine Dupree is evil? Because the fact that she was sitting on top of the post to watch Otis get eaten by a spear by Braun Breaker.
No, I don't think she's evil. I think she's upset because her friend tried to sabotage her love of her life.
So she's just like, I'm going to sit here and
Well, she found out
and
that's not.
enjoy all of this.
She's found out that Otis was not really her friend because he tried to sabotage her love. That's how I took it.
I think she's so evil. Evil.
Yeah, but you thought that when she was smiling. You thought that when everybody loved her. You thought that you literally only thought that because Becky Lynch said it.
She said she was moody, you know?
Becky.
And well, I had more of an issue with AJ Lee. Less of an issue.
These
with
aren't your
Maxine.
issues. This is a parasocial relationship. These are not your issues. These people do not have this relationship with you.
It is.
They're not your issues. These are issues that Becky Lynch has, and then she tweets about it, and then that's another thing you turn into your personality. It's not your issue. It's literally nothing to do with you. They didn't do anything to you.
Did you hear that Justin Bieber shook my hand this weekend?
Yeah. You told me before,
Oh, okay. I was just making sure you knew.
earlier in the episode. What's that? Just in case people tune in. It's a podcast. It's not radio. You know, people tune in from the beginning. Is that just in case people tune in late?
Just got to remind them,
In case they're clicking through.
You're clicking through.
If you're listening
That's
at
all I know.
1.5 speed, you missed it the first time. This happened.
We got to let them know.
No, you got to. You got to. And
Yeah,
you got
Maxine Dupree, though, is evil. Evil.
Wow.
Evil.
Well, listen, make sure that you're subscribed to the podcast for takes like that. Subscribe across all audio platforms. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment, hit like. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us for another Raw recap. We will see you next week. We've got a loaded Monday Night Raw next week, and we will recap it all here on WWE Now. See you then.